Hello and welcome back to my kitchen. If you're new here, my name is Ashley, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing 3 recipes for you for Thanksgiving side dishes. Obviously you can make these all year round, but I think they would be great options to have this year on your table for Thanksgiving. The first recipe is for these roasted Parmesan garlic carrots, and I'm just going to start out by peeling my carrots that I did clean first. And then I'm just going to cut the ends off and then cut them in half. And then depending on like how thick they are, I may like slice them in half lengthwise too, just so they're as even as possible. Obviously they're not going to be perfect, they are carrots, so you just want to kind of eyeball it and see what you need to do there. Then I'm going to go ahead and mince up some garlic. So I'm using 3 cloves of garlic, and I will have all of these recipes linked in the description box below. But I did have this recipe when I made it, but I always say to measure garlic with your heart, so that's what I did here. So you just want to mince that and then add it into a bowl along with some melted butter. And then I'm just going to go ahead and give the carrots a good toss. Next up, I'm going to season it with some Italian seasoning, some salt and pepper, and then we're going to add in some grated Parmesan cheese. And this is going to go onto a foil or parchment lined pan into a 425-degree oven for about 20 to 25 minutes or until they are soft and tender. I was obsessed with this recipe. They are so good. They get like kind of caramelized in the oven and absolutely delicious. I will also link, I shared a video this year for Easter side dishes that had a sweeter carrot option. So if you want to see that, I will link that in the description box as well. But like I said, these are absolutely amazing. That garlic and Parmesan flavor with the roasted carrots was perfection. Now, if you're looking for a new way to serve potatoes this year, Buffalo Hasselback potatoes are a must. So I'm going to start out with my potato. I just went ahead and scrubbed it really well. There's a trick where you use 2 chopsticks to help you cut, because you want to cut like 3/4 of the way down the potato. I didn't have any chopsticks, so I just took these pens and I washed them, and then I just set them on either side of the potato, and then you're going to go ahead and cut down until your knife stops on the pen. Again, you don't have to have the chopstick or a pen, it just makes it easier so you don't cut all the way through. And then you're going to slice it into about like 3mm slices. And then I'm going to go ahead and toss some oil, salt, and pepper on them, and try to kind of open them up a little bit so that way the oil, the salt, and the pepper can get like down in between like the different cuts. And then I went ahead and baked this in an oven at 425 degrees, and mine took about an hour and 15 minutes until they were softened. And then once the potatoes are completely cooked, you'll bring them out of the oven, and then all you have to do is add your toppings. So I just took some cheddar cheese and I went down and I kind of sprinkled it in between each of the cuts there, and then I drizzled on the buffalo sauce and then topped it with some green onions. For mine, I added some gorgonzola cheese because I love like blue cheese or gorgonzola with buffalo sauce. And like I said, these were absolutely amazing and a great way to change up if you're looking for a new way to serve potatoes. And the last side is for this homemade green bean casserole. And I don't know about you, but we grew up not having green bean casserole. And then 2 years ago, I was talking to one of my brother-in-laws and he really enjoys it. So I started looking at recipes because I did want to make it and not use a can of cream of mushroom soup. There's nothing wrong with that, but I wanted to test out a recipe, and now this is a family favorite. So I'm just starting out by thinly slicing my mushrooms. I'm using the baby portobellos, but you can use white mushrooms or whatever kind you would like. And then once I have those sliced, I'm just going to set them to the side and go ahead and dice an onion. So like I was saying before, I grew up never having green bean casserole, so I'm really curious. Let me know in the comments down below. Did you grow up having it? Is it something that you like? And if so, have you ever tried to make the homemade version or had the homemade version? I really would like to know. And also just in general, what's your favorite Thanksgiving side dish? Because I'm curious to see what everyone's favorite is. The sides are my favorite part of Thanksgiving dinner period, so I'm living for all of them. I enjoy them much more than the turkey itself or ham, whatever protein you have. But yeah, definitely let me know. All right, so now that I have the prep work out of the way, I'm just starting out by melting down a few tablespoons of butter, and then I'm going to add the onions into it, and we're just going to let these saute until they soften. You're not looking to caramelize the onions here, you just want them to get nice and soft. So this will take a few minutes. I just did it over about like medium heat, and here you can see that they have softened up nicely. So now I'm going to go ahead and add in the sliced mushrooms, and same thing, I'm going to go ahead and let these cook down until they're nice and soft. Now, while they're cooking down, they're going to release their moisture, and you're just going to go ahead and keep letting them cook, and that moisture will evaporate. Now here you can see that liquid that I was talking about that the mushrooms are going to release, but it starts to evaporate off as the mushrooms are softening. So once that happens, you're just going to add in a few cloves of minced garlic. This just adds another flavor profile to the dish. You could leave it out if you wanted to, but I love garlic, especially with onions. So you just want to let it saute for a couple of minutes until the garlic becomes fragrant, and then we're going to remove that mixture from the pan, and then I'm going to add in some more butter and let that melt down. Now once this has melted down, I'm going to add in a couple tablespoons of flour, and that's going to be our roux, which is going to thicken our cream of mushroom. So this part here, basically what we're making is the cream of mushroom soup. So I'm just going to whisk that flour into the butter. Now this is a looser roux. It's not going to be a tight roux like you'll see sometimes when you're making gravy and things like that. So just trust the process here. And then once that has cooked for a couple of minutes, so that way the raw flour taste has cooked off, I'm going to go in with heavy cream. Now the recipe calls for half and half, and you can absolutely use that, but when I tested this out before, I used the heavy cream, and yes, it is more fattening for you, but it is Thanksgiving, so I'm here for it. I think that this is like the time to enjoy everything. So if you're, feeling the same way, then I would just use heavy cream because it is incredible. But then you just want to season it with some salt and pepper to taste. And then this mixture is just going to cook. You're going to see that it's going to start thickening up on the stove. I just have it over a medium heat, and it'll get nice and thick. Once it is thickened, you're going to go ahead and add in your mushroom, onion, and garlic mixture back into the pan, and then just give that a good stir, and then this is ready to go. And for the green beans, you can use canned green beans, you can use fresh, or you can use frozen. I did frozen, and I just popped mine in the microwave according to the package directions. If you're doing fresh, you do want to cook them for a few minutes, and that is outlined in the recipe. And again, you can also do canned green beans too. I would just drain and rinse them before adding them into the cream of mushroom soup mixture that we just made. So I'm just going to go ahead and add those green beans in now, and then all we have to do is toss everything together, and then this is going to go into the oven at 350 degrees, and you're going to cook it for about 25 minutes until it is nice and bubbly and hot. Now, I was a little bit shy on the amount of green beans that I needed for this recipe, so if it looks like there's a lot of like that cream of mushroom mixture to the amount of green beans, there kind of is. I mean, it's still absolutely delicious, but ideally I would have had a little bit more, so that way it was more even in like consistency. But I'm going to go ahead and pop this into the oven, like I said, until it is hot and bubbly for about 25 minutes. And then I'm going to take it out of the oven and then top it with the French fried onions. The recipe also says you can add Parmesan cheese, but I left that out. And you're also going to see here that I'm not putting the French fried onions over the entire thing. My husband does not like them. I know it's a travesty, but he does not. So I just put it on like 3/4 of it because the rest of us that were eating this do like them. Another option would be to use Ritz crackers, which if we would have had them on hand, I would have put them on his side because that will give you a crunchy topping without the onions if anyone doesn't like the onions. But then you just want to pop that back into the oven for just a few minutes, and then they are ready to serve. And I am telling you, this recipe is a game changer. If you've never had homemade green bean casserole, you have to give it a try. But I really hope that you enjoyed seeing these Thanksgiving side dish recipes. Let me know in the comments down below if you make any of them. I would love for you to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.